played any sort of sporting activity on turf?
Just like whirly ball in a bumper car.
Fair enough. Okay, so if you go on turf, you notice there's a lot of like debris on the field. I'm not talking about like the rubber pellets. I mean, like last night I was putting on my boots and there was a fake nail on the turf, just like a fake nail extension. And I was thinking someone should invent.
Very Miami.
Yeah, that's true. And there was an eyelash next to it. Someone should invent a vacuum for turf that doesn't pick up the actual rubber turf, but it picks up all the trash from the field. So someone could just kind of go over it like a lawnmower and suck up
because
all
you are
the debris.
disgusted by just the debris in the turf, that you're playing on unclean turf that's filled with eyelashes and nails.
Yeah, I mean, nails are one of the more jarring things you could see and be like, oh, that's a nail. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever been in like a public restroom or like even like a friend's house.
Yes.
And you're in the bathroom and there's just like a fingernail or like a toenail in the sink. And you're like,
No,
why is there a nail here?
No, wait a minute. Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Have you been in a friend's house and in their bathroom there's a toenail in the sink? At LeBatardShow.
I found one of my own nails the other day and it was disgusting. It disgusted me. I knew it was mine because my nail broke
the nails
the other day.
of others, yes, thank you.
Nails are disgusting, but there was a nail in the field and I was like, we should get some sort of vacuum to suck this thing up.
Did you know that the USA played El Salvador on Tuesday in men's soccer, and they drew 1-1, and before the game, there was concern in the build-up because they held a concert at the stadium they were playing at in El Salvador, and as a result, there was metal in the pitch. So there was a very real chance that someone would go in for a slide tackle and have a chunk of metal gash their leg.
Do we need nails anymore?
Like fingernails?
Yeah. Like, have we moved for what? Like, I feel like we've invented whatever it is that we would need. No, I mean...
Picking up shit off the floor.
Yes, Chris Cody. Having long nails is the best. So Miami is very trendy to have long, like sharp fingernails. So I got on like the long fingernail bandwagon, Dan. This is where having another, woman in the office would like be able to support me and lift me up. Instead, you guys all just stare at me blankly. But I got on the long nail bandwagon. Oh, clacking away at my TikTok. It's the best sound in the world. I just clack, 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 clack. You pick stuff up better. You could use it to use it as a utensil sometimes.
The best sound in the world.
The best.
Jess, I mean, that's very, that's unhygienic. Like,
what do you mean?
Like going to the bathroom with long nails? That just doesn't seem very hygienic. Like, you got to hold the tissue paper.
Are you saying that wiping with long nails is bad?
Ew. Yeah.
Huh.
Why? What would happen?
Thank you, Billy.
That's great.
Why don't you tell us, Billy?
I'm asking. I don't know the answer to the question.
You're just curious.
I'm asking the question.
You're just a bit curious. Whittingham, I don't want to move off the subject of you played a soccer game in full work clothes? Like you were basically playing.
Yes. Least surprising thing ever.
Is it? Wait a minute. Is it not surprising?
I mean, if someone was going to do it, it'd be Witty.
But if I drove past any soccer field in America where people were playing and there was one weirdo in dress clothes, I'd be like, what happened to him?
It's a bold move, kind of like Meiomi Wine.
Meiomi Wine's a bold move?
It's a bold
wine. What kind of sponsorship did they buy? They bought like
I'm gonna go eat.
Stand-up.
I'm working in some stuff. Guys, don't keep the train moving.
The other thing that's ironic about Witty wearing work clothes is that he's the only one who actually dresses for work other than Roy. Roy wears jeans sometimes. But if Chris, Cody, or Billy or even Mike showed up to soccer in their work clothes, they'd be fine because they all wear workout clothes.
I wore a soccer jersey and joggers to work yesterday. I was okay.
It was 1,000 degrees, Dan.
It's just going to get worse. Again, I think there were 7 tornadoes in where even was it? 7 tornadoes.
Oh, I think in Chicago.
Yeah,
I think there were tornadoes in Chicago. Yeah.
And as I mentioned, I think snow in Mexico City. And
you guys don't have tornadoes down here, right? Just
no, we do.
Not yet.
During hurricane. So that's the added bonus of hurricanes is that it comes with tornadoes. If you get a proper hurricane, a lot of the damage comes from tornadoes.
Cyclones
that are spun off of the hurricane.
Cyclones too. Yes, it's been fine until now, Jessica. It's largely been fine. There was Hurricane Andrew. There have been a couple of calamities, but largely before we started going to category 6s and we screwed with the earth so much through extracting of all oils, now it is a genuinely terrifying place to live at a time when the country is upside down because the government agencies told you last year gas was going to be $3 a gallon by now. You see what's happening to gas prices. Inflation is run amok, and now we've got climate crisis in every direction. Is it...
Our show's off to a good start.
Yeah, Colorado drought. No, we don't want to talk.
Yellowstone floods.
There's just it's 100 degrees everywhere in the country. I was talking to my dad. He's in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's 100 degrees there. It's 100 degrees literally everywhere in the country, except for here. Oddly, here it never really gets above 88. It just feels like 1,000 degrees.
No, it was 100 degrees on Monday after
No,
work.
it's always the feels like. It's always when you factor in humidity. You'll never actually see it be 100 degrees here. It's so damn humid.
I wanted to talk to you guys about something that happened yesterday in baseball. Miles Mikolas for the St. Louis Cardinals, who has what I think is a terrible mustache, but now Tony came in today and he's wearing the same terrible mustache.
It's like a Jason Sudeikis, but
what do you mean terrible?
Thinner.
What is that supposed to mean?
It's, well, see, Tony is on the cutting edge of trends and whatnot. Tony is a fashionable person, and I thought that the Mikolas mustache was absurd, but you've come in wearing the same absurd mustache today.
Well, Dan, if you look at it, obviously the vibe right now is Top Gun Miles Teller with the mustache. Yeah. I was doing it obviously way before that, as we know. What? But I was watching the Ricky Weed Farm video, by the way, that came out yesterday on YouTube.
Wow.
And I had a mustache at that point. I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring it back.
Funny that you should mention this because we've got here commenting on the Ricky Weed Farm video. Somebody writes in, the Ricky Weed Farm video was just as expected, totally underwhelming and basic.
Is that guy?
It's actually...
Yes, you want to finish the
Oh,
thought?
I didn't know if my mic was on. It's actually genius by us because that video is way more popular than it would have been if we released it like normal. Look at
Exactly.
us.
Thank
Genius.
you, Chris.
They spent months. I should welcome in Izzy. It is nice to see you. Everyone is happy that you came in. Thank you for doing so discreetly. It's a bit confusing.
I have no idea what's going on
Why
here.
it is Greg Cody still hasn't arrived, Chris. Didn't he leave at 8 a.m.?
I am so mad right now.
I can tell you
So
why.
mad.
It's horrible traffic. Like, I had to get way off of 95
Imagine
just to
that
get back
at
here.
8:30 in the morning. There's terrible traffic.
No, you're right. You're right.
I'm more mad at my dad. I'm sorry, Izzy. I don't mean to take that out on you.
Billy, as an agent of chaos,
Hey.
when you see,
I feel like Hoda today.
because you're holding a glass
Yeah,
of
I just
wine.
get to do the show holding
kind
a
of
glass of wine thanks to Meiomi Wines. This is great. I'm having fun.
I thought that you would be enjoying yesterday that a pitcher came one strike from a no-hitter. He's got a 2-2 pitch he's throwing. It is a hellacious curveball. Hellacious curveball. Hit as hard can be center field. Maybe a great center fielder like Jim Edmonds makes the catch to end the game. But the no-hitter was broken up right there, and I thought that you would enjoy a no-hitter broken up that way. One pitch away. You throw a great pitch, and it just happens to fall apart right there.
I would enjoy a no-hitter being broken up if it was against my team on the last pitch, or if it was my rival team. Other than that, I'd be probably rooting for it. Actually, if I was at home, I don't think I would cheer for a no-hitter against my own team. It's rough. Would you? That wasn't the case. They were in St. Louis, but...
You look ridiculous
You look
holding
so
the
classy.
glass of wine. Like it just doesn't fit you. You with a glass of wine, it's not.
How so?
You and
Wearing a mask.
What kind of drink is like the Billy Gill thing that you picture him drinking?
Go-gurt.
Yeah, wait.
Go-gurt?
Meiomi's for people of all ages over 21, I'll have you know.
He's got it right. I think as a spokesman, if you were to actually make yourself open for business right now, not just with Meiomi Wine, but open for anybody to have product placement in our show, wouldn't it be Go-Gurt or something like Go-Gurt that you would go with?
No. Currently it's CBDMD because it helps with my back pains. The roll-on pain
Smooth, Billy.
reliever.
Cat food?
Thanks, Chris.
Chris, where is your father? Have you
He
been?
just texted me he's in the parking garage, so we're getting there.
Tell him there's a turd on the 3rd floor of the stairs.
like in between the third and fourth floor. Oh
Sorry
yeah,
about that.
it's
human-
like perfectly formed. It's just sitting right there. Yeah.
I mean, look.
I mean, I should have taken a picture of it. You're right.
I simply cannot explain to the rest of the country how lawless South Florida has become. I say it through laughter and tears. I saw bullets on the floor in the alley the other day near the human turd that Izzy speaks of.
How's that stairwell always wet?
Yeah, it is. Their solution to cleaning the most foul place on the planet is to just let off a water hose from the top floor and let the water run down.
No.
As if that's
strategy.
helping. As if that's helping.
No, there's one dude up there who he dumps 2 buckets of bleach and hopes they get down to the 4th floor.
Bleach is not nearly enough. There's not a cleaning product with enough power in the universe to clean that stairwell. Is the turd on the stairwell, or is it in and amongst the parking spots?
No, it's on the whatever the flat platform is when you're switching from one stairs to the other. And like honestly, I noticed it after I passed it, so it was like kind of a close call there.
Are we sure it's not a dog turd? Because I've noticed there's a lot of dog turds that get left on the sidewalk around
You
here.
know how I know it's not? Because,
In a garage?
Actually, I don't know it. It's not. But it kind of like curves and then like comes together. It kind of spells like a U that where all the parts touch. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely like a human turd. It's not just a dog.
Who took a picture of the turd?
Oh.
Why?
We have photographic evidence of
Confirmation.
the
That's
turd.
the one.
Well, they fixed that elevator right on time because it was broken yesterday.
Were you anticipating this conversation, or do you just collect turd pictures?
Well, he was ahead of me because I should have taken a picture of it. He just saw it and took a picture of it, probably thinking that this could come up. Great
Thought
job.
you were playing on Rival.
Whoever you are.
That's a walk by and instantly repress type thing. Like I walk by it, I see it, I acknowledge it, I never think about it again.
I'm scared that I walked by it and didn't notice it because
everything else is so foul that it just sort of blends in.
It blends in with the scenery. But it's more that like there's a very real chance I could have stepped in it and not realized.
One of the many things I like to do on a nice South Florida morning where anarchy has reigned the night before and there's just the debris from last night's party in the street, and you see, oh, there are a pair of underwear over there. I wonder what the backstory there was. You guys all walked past this turd without trying to wonder for a moment, what preceded this?
No, I mean, I absolutely
What preceded the decision to somebody said, this is where I need to poop. There is nowhere else to go. I need to do this right here in a stairwell of a of the 3rd floor of a garage.
I'm going to guess the person who did it, that was probably one of the more private places they've pooped.
There are public restrooms over here. There are public
Which are
restrooms.
more gross than those stairwells.
Okay, really? Okay. At LeBatardShow, Guillermo, are the public restrooms grosser than the parking garage stairwell urine smelling scent?
Where are there public bathrooms around here? Because there was one time where I walked out of this studio once and I was like, I don't want to go back in, go all the way up, blah blah blah, and I ended up walking like a 4-block radius around here trying to find a bathroom where like the restroom or like the restaurant wouldn't let me use their bathroom without a key unless I bought something, and I ended up walking around for 20. I could have just walked back into work and used this bathroom. Not that the bathroom
This
here
one
is-
might be worse, yeah.
Yeah, well, but either way, like there was no bathroom to be found anywhere in sight. It's a terrible
Look
place.
who the cat dragged in.
Greg Cody has just wandered into the building, holding that 19...
Straight out of Margaritaville.
Oh, look at him. He's pissed,
that
too.
mean?
He's,
Margaritaville's a great retirement community. I cannot wait until I turn 55.
Same.
Do not get me wrong.
Dude, I can't wait to live in a retirement community.
So great.
Oh, amongst
So
the
amazing.
parrot heads?
Yeah. And
Well, I
no
find that
kids.
sad.
1 or 2 kids, but not a lot. Jess would love it.
Hang on to your last vestiges of youth before you turn in your you're gonna turn 55 and walk straight into the 55 plus place.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 55 is not like I plan on living till I'm 120. So I got plenty of
Exactly
time
right.
after
Yeah.
that.
I said the other day I probably wasn't gonna get to 70, and people are like, oh, how can you say that? Oh. Like, I just want to get to 55. Search my lost acre of salt. You know what I mean?
why are you so old?
I don't know. I was born that way.
Why you came out an elderly person? Why are you so eager to get to a retirement home? You have a 1-year-old. You just got to adulthood.
Yeah. And
you want to play shuffleboard?
hell yeah, shuffleboard's dope. You don't like shuffleboard?
Shuffleboard is great.
shuffleboard.
Shuffleboard is great. I can't argue with that.
By
Except
the
the
way-
little thing hurts your feet when you stand on it without sandals.
What thing? No, don't tell me.
Like the shuffleboard, like the the shuffleboard. I don't know. What do you call it? The floor of the
court?
shuffleboard.
Well,
Yeah, the court.
what is the shuffleboard court that you play on?
Like the ones at pools where the water goes like down.
No, those are bullshit.
Hurts your
Sorry.
feet.
No, those little rubber ones. The
Yes.
absolute enemy of a real shuffleboard is. You know what I mean? You can't, there's too much friction there.
Real
You can't have
shuffleboarders
that
know.
friction. Exactly right.
concrete.
Exactly. Izzy knows. Izzy?
I live in a community that really, really wants to be 55 and older.
You'll
I'm
get
pretty
there.
sure I'm one of the youngest people there. I know Anthony's one of the youngest people there. And so we have shuffleboard in our community. We have a lot of pickleball in our community. And so, yeah, it's for you.
Oh,
it is for you.
I
Billy.
was
Come on, we'll
told-
go on the boat.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I was told that pickleball is having a giant moment, and that actually someone was trying to tell me that Metalurg should start a pickleball podcast and
you
get
guys-
in early on this.
Really, did you see what happened a few days ago? This woman was at this park in Pittsburgh, and these 3 guys were playing pickleball, and she joined them. And it turns out she was playing pickleball with Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith, and they all took a picture together. Apparently, her and Minka Fitzpatrick whooped the other two's ass. And then they signed him the next day, Dan. So I think the pickleball skills. pulled
$80
off.
million, right? They gave Minka Fitzpatrick. And the Dolphins did what with everything that was Minka Fitzpatrick related?
So I'll try and remember. I think that they used that pick to draft Austin Jackson, who's been a pretty bad offensive lineman, another first-round offensive lineman that has not done well for them. But it's one of those cases where you let a really good player go, he goes and plays really well somewhere else, but they don't really regret it because they were amazing on defense these last couple of years. So maybe they could have been even better with Minka Fitzpatrick, but it's one where it was a terrible trade, but I feel like they still have some capital just based off of how much they've gotten out of one Laramie Tunsil.
It's a good thing that we have a Dolphin expert here, winded and wheezing. A Miami Herald icon has come into the room. His shirt is untucked. He does look like he is right out of Margaritaville. I would like all his opinions on retirement community living. And I also want an explanation and an apology to your son as to why it is you're so late.
I can't control the traffic, Dan.
Yes, but you can anticipate it.
No, not really. Not when 2 separate lanes of the express lanes are closed. It was a nightmare. You know, it's going from one to the other, and 2 accidents foul everything up.
Nothing you could have done differently.
I mean, I could have left the house at 6 a.m., I guess, but, you know, you don't anticipate that kind of thing. I did everything I could. I apologize for being late. I'm rarely late, especially lately. Am I rarely late, as LeBatard will attest. I'm going to be the mayor of Margaritaville, by the way, if I ever choose to live there. But we're not there yet. We're still in a residential community, not even a gated community. And we're happy. Fat
Billy,
and
I have
happy.
access to a Margaritaville, actually.
Do you? The one in Hollywood?
No, it's in Daytona. You're going to have to make a trip with me.
How do you?
But we can get it.
Down. Did you guys see Greg, speaking of Margaritaville, and I know you're a big cruiser, you see there's a Margaritaville cruise ship now?
I did hear that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Let's do it.
But only if Jimmy's going to be there. If Jimmy's not on board wearing a Navy hat, I'm not interested.
Dad, you looking a little off. Are you a visor guy? Not everyone's a visor guy. Izzy, you're not a visor guy. Dan, you look like maybe in your 20s you were a visor guy, but not anymore. Billy seems like he could still be a visor guy. Roy, definitely a visor guy. Tony has never worn a visor. Jess, visor person. Witty.
No way. Can't cover that.
Yeah, you got to wear a visor. Witty's a visor. Dad, put the visor on.
All right, hang on. I've never worn a visor in my life.
Neither
I would
have I.
advise her against
My
it.
dad, growing up, Uncle Dick called my dad the point. So actually, you'd think because his head is pointed.
Is your father winded, Chris? Is your
Yes.
father winded from the stairs? Greg, did you see a human turd on the stairwell?
No, I missed that.
Check your
A
shoes,
visor-
maybe you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check your
It
shoes.
doesn't even fit me, this
A
visor.
visor makes him look even older.
It's sitting on the top of my head because it's not fitted right. What's with a visor? It's like half a hat. It's like you couldn't afford a whole hat, so you got the brim and the back, and you couldn't afford the dome. It's ridiculous, visors. Oh, I'm Steve Spurrier sitting here. What's going on? I'm getting ready to fling my visor at an SEC back judge.
This is season 3 of Hacks, I think.
It's
old ball
ridiculous.
coach.
How do you fit one of these things? It's not even on me right.
It's winded Catskill.
I'm not winded. Got plenty of wind.
You sound great.
I can play a whole set of tennis.
One whole set, eh?
All of this, by the way. Oh, God.
All of this is brought to you.
You hear the brie? Did you hear the brie?
Meiomi Wine, brought to you, the Cody family.
Can I get some breakfast wine, please? Like, what's going on here?
The Cody family, if you want things sponsored in a way that's regal and responsible, if you want to give off grace to the masses, if you want to show America what's a fine spirit that supports anarchy, the Codys bring you. Greg, what is the wine?
Meiomi.
Meiomi Wines, the official favorite wine of dads everywhere. Yep.
Oh, it's a Father's Day promotion.
Yes,
I
and
love
it's
that
the
wine.
official wine of Greg Cody, he
It
has
is.
claimed.
And my wife, by the way. Big Meiomi drinker.
What about daddies?
Izzy, I wanted, as the NBA Finals tonight enter Game 6 with Boston and Jason Tatum. The story has become, it's funny how it switches from game to game, right? Because Tatum has come through this labyrinth to get very close to the throne. He's an excellent player. Golden State's great at defense, and in the fourth quarter, he has indeed evaporated as Steph Curry in some of the games has taken over the game, and in the last one, Steph Curry didn't have anything to do with it.
You know what's interesting? So I was roasted for about a game and a half, mostly from Mike Ryan, but roasted for a game and a half for giving Jimmy Butler the excuse of having a knee injury. And then when he bounced back from it, I'm just like, you know what? I probably shouldn't have said anything because that guy, sort of bounced back and was tough and whatever, did what he needed to do, did enough for his team to win. Everybody else just didn't. With Jason Tatum, it just feels like people are trying to grant him excuses. When if you look at the way these games constantly go, it's Jaylen Brown starting off being aggressive, really starting to set the tone with that offense. And Jason Tatum lately has been, now granted, he's getting a lot of credit for getting off the ball quicker, which was something that a lot of people have begged him to do for years.
They've wanted him to be a playmaker. He had 13 assists. In the game, he was 3 for 17, game one. They won with him just opening up the floor.
But when he's driving to attack, he's no longer really looking for his shot. A lot of the time. And when he is taking a shot, it's sort of a rushed shot. And he's complaining after every single drive, every non-call. And it's disappointing. I thought this was potentially a coronation for him. I thought the toughest defenses he'd already gotten past when you've got, the Golden State Warriors who don't really protect the rim as well. And he just hasn't done that. He's seen swarming defenses before. This isn't the first time. And he hasn't done that. And then in fourth quarters, when it's really up to him, unless he's hitting a couple of threes off of, kickouts, not really doing much. So it's just largely disappointing because I'm with Stan Van Gundy on this one. I thought after a few games, and I thought going in that they were going to be sort of the bully of the series, and they've just sort of backed down, and it's largely, in my opinion, because of him.
I think that my analysis of sports has gotten wimpier as I have aged because if Jason Tatum is this kind of bad after we have seen healthier Jason Tatum be excellent. They were the best team in the sport the second half of the season. He was clearly on the ascent. The way that he can make threes and is kind of unstoppable without fouling him, liquidy going to the rim, that can be special for 10 years. We all know it. He was clearly hurt, writhing around. Now, maybe it's dramatics, maybe it's theatrics, but Stan Van Gundy and you and everyone else who dismisses the idea of, well, if someone is statistically this much worse, doesn't their body being right at the end of a really hard season have anything to do with it? Because nobody's out here killing Robert Williams for, if he would just stay healthy, if he would just play 40 minutes, Golden State would have lost already.
Well, nobody's killing Robert Williams because Robert Williams might be killing his career by playing in these playoffs. Like, he probably did rushed through, shaving that meniscus. And
should we be doing that?
No, because if he doesn't win, this is probably as close as this group is going to get. They could upgrade, but where? And they seem pretty loaded. So I don't know if the Jason Tatum thing, this is one of those deals where after the Jimmy Butler situation, it's like, you know what? That's right. I'm not giving anybody any more excuses. And it's not as if he is taking the same shots he normally takes and is missing some. Like I said, when he's driving, he's just not looking like he's under control. He's not looking as fluid as you just described him when he's going to the rim.
When you say, this is what's confusing to me about the way we do the analysis on this, because You've had your mind flipped by not understanding how Jimmy Butler went from a corpse in Game 4 and 5 to right back to Michael Jordan in Game 6 and 7. I don't understand it either. I thought the Miami Heat were going to lose, fold it up, lose by 30 at Boston Game 6 because I thought Jimmy Butler couldn't do anything against Robert Williams with his legs being like that. You've had your mind changed by that. All I am is more confused by it. Like, I don't understand how Jimmy Butler went from incompetent at basketball Game 4 and 5 because his body was clearly not right to wait a minute, he's okay again. And I've got someone like Stan, whose opinion I respect, saying, yep, you get out there no matter how injured you are. And I would just think if I was in the position of having all these lights on me and my body didn't feel right, I'd kind of want to tell everybody, hey, I'm not quite 100% here.
Right. And Jimmy did the opposite. He took himself off the injury list going into that Game 5, and you could tell he wasn't right. But the reason that I felt like, okay, after watching that, I've changed my mind, I would rather blame him, Jimmy, for that Game 5 beginning, where it was just flat, not aggressive, just kind of letting the Celtics dictate. And if it's a must-win, you just got to, as you like to say, throw your neck at the rim in those spots and get some calls. And he just didn't do that. And it seemed, because he was out there, was still capable of doing that, because what we saw in Games 6 and 7 was still capable of doing that. So I'd rather get on him about that and not performing in that spot than just granting Jason Tatum these excuses when, yes, he was writhing in pain, but he came back in the exact same game.
We are going to do this analysis then? This is how it's going to become. Right now, as we speak of it, man, Jason Tatum, this labyrinth, you've been the story, the narrative. It's going to be your league now. Everybody wants the Celtics to matter. You're the kind of superstar, young superstar anyone can embrace. You're about good things. You're humble. You don't get in trouble. Everybody can root for you. You can be a next face of the league. You're saying right now, question it. Where you been fourth quarter? You're telling me that the metrics on Jason Tatum can be made accurately in the next two games. If he goes for 35 in the next two games and does it efficiently and they win, even though the game they won in this series earlier was him 3 for 17, you're telling me the next two games, Jason Tatum can rewrite how we look at him, even though he's not a lesser or better player, depending on what the next two games produce.
It depends on how it looks. If it's because we've gotten on Steph Curry time and again, or some people have, for not performing in the finals enough to the standard. He hasn't won a finals. Look what he did in the Game 4, where everybody said going in, well, I don't know if everybody said, I said it. Everybody said going in, somebody's got to carry them. It's only going to be him. There's nobody else on that team that can do it. He went out there. He did exactly that. If Jason Tatum is the sort of recipient of a bunch of good Boston offense and hits some shots, well, he just was that. But if he is the guy who put his team on his back, drove, got to the foul line 12, 14 times, and looked like he was going to carry them and not,
But that's what it needs to be. You're
Absolutely,
saying that the next two games are the measurement on what this man is as a player. That if he goes and if he's aggressive, and that we're going to do this over two games.
It's not the end of the measurement because he's 24 years old and has more opportunities to do this. Like, how old is Jimmy Butler, right? So theoretically, Jason Tatum's got more than a decade to get this right. But right now, the judgment is right now. That's part of the problem with sports debate these days. It's just like we're talking about these statements and we have to hang on to them for the rest of time. Hell, I said James Harden wasn't going to be good in Houston. You think I sat on that and just like, oh, that guy's terrible? No, I just said, my bad. And so every once in a while, we can change our opinions. Right now, Jason Tatum has been disappointing in this series. Just has been.
And there's also an assumption that, Boston will continue to be good based off of their youth, but they're also going to be players that'll come up for contract extensions. That team will get expensive. Al Horford has been a surprise that he's been this good because of his age. Took a year off in Oklahoma City. There was a lot of feeling that he was done. So it's not a given that just because Boston is this good now that they will stay this good. So the measurement, I don't think on Jason Tatum is he good or is he bad on the base of this is he good or is he the guy that leads you to the championship?
Is he Kevin Durant, who last playoffs, phenomenal numbers. Like, look at those, and that was him carrying that team. If you are Kevin Durant, you should be able, even if it's
a team that didn't get this far.
No, I mean, but they lost by an inch to Milwaukee, the eventual champions, right? And so if he were to do that different, if he were to be the guy that even was 7 for 30, but got to the foul line a ton and just said this is then, and I get it. This is the opposite of what people said about what the Boston Celtics need to do in order to be.
And it's also
but in the playoffs it changes.
And it's
Things
also
change.
you asking them to play differently than they have all season.
Because in the playoffs, it's an entirely different ballgame. Where the Miami Heat being Jimmy Butler or nothing in the regular season, no, they were the opposite of that. But when you whittle down in a 7-game series to great defenses and great coaching, like that's what carries you. We've talked about this for decades, and so I don't want to change it and change the rules now just because people love Jason Tatum.
Chris, Cody, what do you have in the other room milling about in there? Are you bringing us? You've got the breath of salami, and you're bringing good breakfast scents to the table.
We're watching the golf here. I'm loving my dad right now because I think golf has villains now. Because anytime they show Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, my dad just makes a little noise like, huh, this guy. So could it be maybe that golf is doing, remember the Netflix show? Could this whole live thing just be like a character for this Netflix special? And it's like now they have villains? Because my dad is more into golf now because he likes to
That's
hate
what it
golfers.
took, Saudi blood money?
Yeah, it's certainly it's a U.S. Open like none before because golf is in the middle of what could become a full-blown civil war in men's professional golf. And we haven't really seen that before. And, yeah, when you see Dustin Johnson and Phil Mickelson, the two guys out front in the live movement, they do wear a black hat right now, metaphorically.
What are you muttering, though? It's just, like, I literally just keep hearing you going,
No, I can imagine your father now. The politics has seeped so deeply into what it is that he's watching, and it's not the politics in the world. It's the politics of golf. You have messed with his
men's golf. He actually did a good thing there, Dan. We've just been saying golf, but it is men's golf.
Malf.
LPGA is still going strong.
Yes, and I'm sure that is what Greg Cody is preoccupied with now as he harumphs under his breath. And why are you harumphing? Because Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson are dirty, traitorous money grubbers?
Yeah, and by the way, to Jess's point, if the Saudi money decided that women's golf was big enough to throw millions at, they would do it, and the women would run after the money, just as they would if this happened in tennis.
They're not going to invest billions of dollars in women's golf.
Correct.
The premise is
but if they
not
would,
possible.
if they would, the female Dustin Johnsons would run toward the money too, because it's a money grab, and unfortunately,
greed is gender neutral.
That's correct. That is correct, and that's what we're seeing right now. The PGA Tour has all the tradition. They have the fact that they're not offering blood money like the Saudis are. And it's a fact that if you're in the live tour right now, you are sacrificing a little bit of your soul to do what you're doing. It just, in my opinion, that's just a fact.
Chris, Cody, I want to test out your broadcasting chops right now. And can you give us a leaderboard update? Can you take us through what's going on right now at the U.S. Open?
Did you just say, in my opinion, that's just a fact?
In my opinion, that's just a fact. That's correct. Nowadays, we can't agree on what a fact is, so I have to equivocate.
Yeah, you must have listened to yesterday's show, too.
Witty, yes, I do have an update for you. The homie, actually, Max Homa, just got a birdie. He is now at 2 under. We have 5 people tied at the top, -2. John Rahm, Morikawa, Homa, Naismith, and Munoz. Rory McIlroy, 1 back at -1. Did you see yesterday Rory's icy moment on the driving range with Kevin Na? He walked right by him, and Rory said, nah, not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Well done.
I'm a big Max Homa guy.
That was a good joke.
That's my boy.
Chris, as a golf expert, is anyone better at leading after 15 minutes of a golf tournament than Max Homa?
Oh, dude. He is so good at that.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is anyone better at leading after 15 minutes of a golf tournament than Max Homa?
The homie.
Have you guys ever talked about how Chris Cody is probably the best thing to happen to Greg Cody's career? I've been thinking about this the other day.
Vice versa, too,
look,
right?
Greg knows I love him. Greg knows I love him, man. He created Chris, so it's okay. It's not an insult.
Thank you, Iz.
But I feel like, before Chris and before this show,
love it.
And I know this is obviously a connection to you here, but Chris has obviously elevated Greg as well and let, the world in on the real Greg Cody. And now this version of Greg Cody, the previous greatest thing he ever did was like the awkward bird. What was it called?
The upset bird.
The upset bird, excuse me. And so,
Not the awkward bird.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to do an awkward. That
That would be a strange character to console for football picks.
But yeah, I think that Greg Cody has just lifted his father up, and together they are, spectacular.
Wow, I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, I had a nice little career going before Christopher was born, but still, to your point, he's been a wonderful influence on me, and he's
But
blossomed.
you're lovable now, though. I've seen you at these Miami Heat games. You are not lovable. Greg Cody is not the guy you see walking around these arenas. Like, you don't want to talk to anybody.
Right. Huh.
You're very
I'm antisocial.
You covering a game, it's like so odd because everybody else is like in the media room talking and stuff. You're in and out. You don't want to talk to anybody.
That's correct. I'm not a people person.
Well, even when we have work things outside of the studio, Greg's always very chatty when he's in these confines, but then we'll go to like a highlight game, and Greg kind of just, keeps to himself in the corner. He's a very quiet man.
Yeah. No, I am antisocial. I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm a very reserved person by nature.
Me too.
So this
Which is
sort
why
of-
he has, clips his toenails on the LeBatard show all the time and
God.
has our
Well,
COO
that's true.
shave his back. It's because he's so reserved.
Yeah,
is the
my
great toe
toenails, by
doing?
the way, are in the best shape they've ever been in.
Don't take your shoe off.
Other than the left great toe is about to fall off. It's black, which is not a good thing in a toenail. So anyway,
I just ate brie, man. I don't need to hear this.
anywho, how about some golf, huh? Nothing goes like with Meiomi wine like golf, and vice versa. I'm telling you that, and that is a fact, Jack.
Driving your flavor forward, right, Greg?
What did he say? I couldn't hear Billy. I'm sorry. I heard Billy's voice say, right, Greg, but I didn't hear what he said.
Just agree with him. Be a yes
Say
man.
yes.
Well, Billy's always right. Whenever Billy addresses me, it's in full support. That's why we love Billy on this side of the wall.
What?
Billy is the official person of the Meiomi-sponsored Cody show watching U.S. Open golf.
Well said.
Bold statement.
Do they want to be sponsoring this family?
I mean, would you?
Just
I mean, we know a lot about the Codys. I think we know way too much about
for
the Codys.
15 years.
Do police dogs get vacations?
Oh, God.
Anyone got an answer?
It's a really good
It's a good
Or
question.
do they just have to take their vacation when their person takes vacation?
Oh, man.
It's a lot of bombs you got to sniff, a lot of drugs
Right.
you're sniffing, and it's just like, oh, my vacation's when your vacation is?
They do get retirement ceremonies. I can confirm that. I actually recently saw, I think at the
Gold
Heat Arena.
Rolex?
At the Heat Arena, they had a retirement ceremony. What? For a bomb sniffing dog.
That's nonsense.
No, what do you mean? What do you mean nonsense?
Whoa.
I love those dogs. Those dogs help you
I
get
love
through
the
security
dogs,
so
too.
much faster.
Just give them a treat. They'll be good with that.
Put it
Yeah,
on
dogs
the
don't care.
poll. Yeah, you'd be a hell of a union representative for the dogs at LeBatard Show. You think everyone can be bought with a piece of salami like you can? Dogs have some dignity.
The dog was probably terrified by that ceremony. Oh, a bunch of people clapping out of nowhere.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Do police dogs get vacation? Jessica, what was your objection to yesterday's show? Was it the Michele Tafoya thing?
I didn't say I had an objection. Greg said something about people disagreeing on facts, and I said he must have listened to yesterday's show because there was a lot of disagreement over the facts. In my personal opinion, Dan, that went exactly how I thought it would go, and that was why I was hesitant is probably too flimsy of a word, but hesitant to even have that happen in the first place. I'm not sure what anyone got out of that, positive or negative. It was just, wow, just a weird one.
I went in honestly, innocently on. I've had one experience with Michele Tafoya. We did Pardon the Interruption together. It was fine. It was lovely. I have not spoken to her since.
I got to be honest. I saw the headline or the title of the podcast hour and was surprised, turned off by it a little bit, and said to myself, I don't need to listen to that because, as Jess was saying, in terms of arguing facts, I was sure there was going to be some of that in there based on what I've heard her say since she retired. And frankly, I just don't have the bandwidth for that anymore. Like, it's just a ridiculous level of backpedaling that we're doing as a country, as a world, and everything else. And like, I'm talking about in almost every subject. And like, I don't know if you guys experience this, if it's just me, but like, this has been the most contentious, like, angry Pride Month I've ever experienced. Like, everywhere you look, it's just a fight, and we're sort of backtracking to, oh, I don't believe this, or I don't want to do this, and all of it becomes, if you boil it down to, they just think this is a choice still. You know, when you consider like the Surfside mayor saying, oh, we're not going to put up a pride flag because next the Satanists will ask for one, and I'm just like, are we doing this? Like, are we really going backward on this stuff? Because it's absolutely maddening, and I just don't have like the time for it. And I don't have the time to listen to somebody who worked in sports and now all of a sudden wants to come out and be this person.
I just do not have the energy for it.
All right, let's step back for a second and rewind on. Once Mike and Roy were in the discussion with Michele Tafoya, I sat back and I wasn't going to have a bunch of people shouting. I didn't have an expectation for that. It was not gratuitous. It was very much, well, let me see if I can talk to somebody who 15 years ago, and it went off the rails immediately. I don't know what she really thinks, but you are under attack now in Florida. You have seen, 31 masked men in Idaho going to disrupt and terrorize a pride meeting. You have seen that in asking people for tolerance again and again and again. Tolerance. The word tolerance, that pride is sometimes a bridge too far. No, I will not be proud of that if I'm a Tampa Bay Ray and I'm going to hide in my religious books. I will not be proud of that. And the one place, and I wasn't going to do Florida legislative talk with Michele Tafoya for 20 minutes, but I did mention that the legislation now coming through the Florida pipeline that is making DeSantis stronger is homophobic, is making you feel like you're under attack now in a way. When you say we can't be going backward, you know that we are. We're in the middle of going backward, that it's harder to be proud now. It's been made harder in the last 5 years.
Right. And what's, just in a lot of other situations where we have people coming out of the woodwork and saying things that they've thought in the past and now just feel entitled to be able to say it. Like, these are the folks who, when, the entire time when we had, we got gay marriage and we have, more rights, and we have some states strike down some laws that say you can be, fired or lose your job if you're LGBT, all that stuff. So they saw progress and they're just like, okay, are we done now? Are we done? Because you guys are equal, which is not even true. And so now you get everybody who's just like, why do we need to hear this? What are we doing? And then the idea, and this is just the go-to, it's the absolute go-to, which drives me insane, is the sexualizing of children. I mean, get out of here. Because what did I grow up around? The Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue? Playboy bunnies and all this. I mean, come on. Like, kids have been around sex their whole time, but now all of a sudden, when it's, a sexuality that is not the norm, it becomes about sexualizing kids. You know when I knew when I was gay? When I was a damn kid. Okay, and that's when I would have wanted to know more things. And so, you look at in the pop world, there's like Lil Nas X, who I consider an absolute bleeping hero. All right, an absolute hero, because if there was like an unapologetic pop star who was out when I was young, and no offense to like Elton John and all that, but if they were unapologetic the way he was currently, I would be so empowered, it would be an entirely different situation. And so just going backward, when we see, individually that there's progress in certain places, going backwards as a group, and it being as obvious as anybody can see, like, it's tiring. It's like, it takes everything out of me not to just, like, give up and just not even talk about it anymore and look the other way, but that's exactly what they want you to do.
Is there a way for that Tafoya conversation to go well in 2022? Is there?
No,
it's not salvageable. I can't even try to make this anything other than an echo chamber. You're telling me it's going to be
echo chamber is not, like, I don't even understand why you use that word, because that, like, I don't think that there's anything when you have someone on who believes in things that are just factually incorrect and is going to say things on a big platform that are just factually incorrect. I don't think you can get anything out of that. I don't think you're going to change her mind. I don't think you're going to change anyone in the audience's mind. I think people are going to gravitate towards whatever they already believe, and I don't think anyone gets anything out of an interview like that, which is why I didn't think we should have her on in the first place.
I don't go into conversations like that. I really don't. And I didn't go into that one that way either. I don't assume... I don't know anything about her other than the one meeting that I've had. I know what I've read, but all my interaction with this person, when it was a colleague and a human being, was a good interaction. And so I don't assume that the next conversation with me on air is going to be a fight immediately. Why do I have to assume that? I got to get that cynical?
I'm with you. No, I actually believe that I go into conversations, even with people who I were to believe, believe the exact opposite that I do, hopeful. I go into conversations hopeful that logic will, or emotion or just natural empathy will work in those situations. But as Jess is saying, when you've got people who are so dug in on false things, like just things that are not true, period, that you can prove, then it's a useless conversation. Once you're arguing about things that are true and then it's absolutely a useless conversation. You can't get past that.
And whether it's useless or not, I cannot know until we've tried to have it.
Agreed.
and I can be defeatist on it on the front end. I'm not actively repelling these people. I've always wanted to have these conversations. I'm just as flummoxed about the fact that we are not talking about facts, that we're arguing about things that should otherwise be facts. But we're talking through all of the crises that are everywhere throughout America and beyond the globe. My friend Izzy, who had a great deal of difficulty navigating this world, male, Hispanic, sports, is vulnerable in 2022 America in a way that I thought we had progressed beyond. I know that progress isn't linear, but I didn't think the step back would be this violent, where my friend who has been found great strength and inspiration and helped so many others by just being publicly proud, being able to break free of previous shackles, the idea that we send that back into retreat through legislation.
And it's through, and honestly, I think where they've been empowered is through attacking the transgender community specifically. Because when they go to the transgender community and attack them, and you have people who just don't really have education on it and then just blindly back them, then they throw all the alphabet together all of a sudden. Then it's just, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, it's all of us. And so they've done, starting with the bathroom bill in North Carolina to everything else, currently with the, kids in school and everything else in the medical care, it's been a concerted effort, and it started with that.
We will get all of Greg Cody's thoughts into the wine on the U.S. Open leaderboard. He is frustrated because he hasn't gotten to speak in a while. And we're an hour in, and what hasn't been promoted, Cody?
We're promoting Meiomi Wine, the official wine of golf.
We were actually just talking back here about how my dad, for someone who plays golf a good amount, is one of the worst sand players in the history of life. For somebody that plays golf more than 10 times a year, it's hard to be as bad out of the sand as my dad is. And I was thinking of, where are you the worst in your life, Dan? Something you do more than 10 times a year, not just for Dan, anyone in the room. Something you do a lot, but you're still really terrible at it.
Sex. Whittingham, get me the stat of the day music, please. I'm so tempted to do the long version. So tempted. Give him the short version.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Stat of the day is brought to you by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
In his first 403 Major League games, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 87 home runs and an on-base percentage of .363. In his first 403 Major League games, his father, Vladimir Guerrero Sr., has 87 home runs and an on-base percentage of .363. Exactly the same. I don't know if that's amazing or it's just a all-time, but Greg Cody might have a nominee here.
A bad ball hitter?
Yeah, like pitches outside of the strike zone.
I think
my dad seems a little rattled right now. It's because he was just saying out here, I wish my backswing was longer. He was like talking out loud about his backswing,
Right.
so he wasn't listening.
Well, I'm watching golf. No, I mean, honestly, the first name that came to mind, I have seen Miguel Cabrera hit a lot of balls outside the zone.
Are you just thinking of the one time he hit an intentional walk for a single?
No, I forgot about that, but that's a good example. No, I've seen him hit a lot of balls outside the zone.
Vladimir Guerrero Sr. was somebody who I believe doubled on a bounced ball. I believe I have that. I think I have that right. But
it was a home run. If it was Yogi Berra, he hit a bounce ball off a home run.
No.
Yeah.
There was a home run hit on a bounced ball. I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah,
Sounds
that's
like cricket.
Yeah.
Is there a video
allowed.
of this? Yeah.
I've never heard of such a thing. Do you believe that that is a thing? Roy, you keep
That
saying...
is a thing.
Who
Yes.
is this?
Yogi Berra, yes.
Roy, but you just saying earnestly again in my face that it's a thing does not make it a thing. I've never heard it. I'm not saying that you're wrong. You may indeed be right, but you cannot confirm it with I say it's a thing, therefore it's a thing. That's
Look
not
it up.
confirmation enough.
Look it up.
There it is. Yes, I'll look it up. Thank you. Greg, I appreciate all your sponsorship out there. I actually thought to myself this morning, you've seen something perhaps go viral. Somebody lost their pet. And they went back into a place called Chewy, and they went with their dog food from their dead dog and asked if they could get a refund. And not only did they get a refund, and this person put this on social media, they got a refund. The food was donated to a food shelter for animals, and then the next day they got flowers with a note from an attendant. And I thought to myself, man, Chewy could not pay for that kind of advertising. There is not enough money that they could pay to get that as a viral story. Meiomi gets the Codys.
Greg's doing a great job, by the way, I'll have you know, because Dan teed Greg up to promote the Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody podcast last hour, and he didn't take the bait. Now, did he just miss a very obvious layup? Who knows? Or is Greg the best pitchman in the history of Meiomi?
No, I tried. First of all, he said it's the official the official wine of golf, which I don't know that you can say. I think that
The official wine of dads everywhere.
Yeah, but that's not what your dad over there said.
That's
your
what I
dad,
meant.
You made it the official wine of golf, which I believe is false advertising.
Yeah, that kind of thing. I think you can call it the official wine of golf. I did not call it the official wine of the PGA Tour. Now, that would have been wrong. But it's the official wine of golf, in my mind, certainly of dads everywhere.
Just to quickly clean some of this stuff up, according to Copy,
right.
Meiomi Wines are the unofficial favorite wine of dads everywhere.
But they're the official wine of this dad.
That's what we meant.
Okay, let's get that straight. And that is a fact.
Long story short, Meiomi's great.
And that's official.
In my opinion.
Chewy wishes they had that.
Billy, the immaculate inning. The immaculate inning. Your favorite team, the Astros, yesterday had in one game, because everyone coming out of a bullpen farts 170 miles an hour. They had two immaculate. Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo. Is a 170 mile an hour fart impressive?
No, I'm
called
just
jet
picturing
propulsion.
Chris bent over with a radar gun behind his ass.
Not going to say it.
But
Hell yeah.
two Two immaculate innings for the Astros yesterday. It's never happened in the recorded history of our most historic sport.
Same 3 hitters, too. You think they have something on those hitters?
I didn't even know that was so. It was the same 3 hitters.
Yeah.
So it's you rarely get the immaculate inning of 9 pitches, 9 strikes. Everyone is a strike or a swing and a miss, looking or swinging.
According to the internet, a fart approximately travels at about 6.8 miles per hour. So 170 miles per hour would be quite something.
Like I said, impressive.
So he went right past the Yogi Berra research.
Well, the Yogi Berra research has thus far shown nothing. There is no evidence that Yogi Berra ever hit a home run on a bounce ball.
I saw it on the Ken Burns documentary.
Oh, well, no one's going to go through that.
Now, see, Roy, why didn't you? When I said to you...
I mean, because that's the perfect way to... Because it's 900 hours of just old, boring baseball stuff, so no one's going to verify it.
He is so right. It is so much better than just to look it up. I'm going to bury you in paperwork like I'm a law firm trying to clog up the system. I'm going to make it so hard for you to find out what the facts are. I'm just going to start with 2 syllables. Ken Burns. You know what? All right, fine. You say Ken Burns says it, so fine. I'm not going through a bunch of black and white footage from the 40s.
The approximate running time of baseball from Ken Burns is about 18 and a half hours.
And it was all enjoyable.
Which hour?
That seems like a quarter of the amount of time that it would take.
That's the first inning. Yeah.
Double the Lord of the Rings extended editions.
I wonder if the Ken Burns documentary is going to be lost on young people who now want their things in 4 installments. I wonder.
50,000 TikToks you would have to make to cover 18 hours.
But also, I mean, on the flip side, every Netflix 6-part documentary series is just a podcast that they made long. So it's not like there's a massive vault of content that's engaging for that length of time.
There's a multi-part Netflix doc series, I think it's on Netflix, on a wave in Portugal.
Oh, it's on HBO Max. I watched the
Max.
entire thing.
Oh, and I fell asleep to
100
that
foot.
3 separate times.
Okay, Izzy,
unbelievably boring.
Let's talk about 100-foot wave. I
think
watched
they
it
came
for
on
the
this
first
show.
time. They did come on the show like a year ago. Garrett McNamara and his wife.
They were great.
They were fascinating. He's like a super weird guy. But Izzy, so I started watching 100-foot wave after they came on the LeBatard show like last May, and I was like, this is boring. I can't do this. But then I actually went to that town when I was on vacation in Portugal recently. Portugal's awesome, by the way. And it was like really cool, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll give it another try. So then I rewatched it, and like that show was I think 7 or 8 episodes. It could have been like 2.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of meanders around. But every time they showed the big wave, I was like, oh my God, a big wave. And it kept me watching for 8 hours.
No, I'm sorry. Waves are overrated. They really are. That's why surfing will never catch on as a spectator sport. Once you've seen a giant wave, it's like a cloud or a tree. You know, once you've seen one, it's in your memory bank. You've enjoyed it. You really don't need to see another one.
That's true.
Are you alleging that surfing hasn't caught on as a spectator sport?
No, it's like running.
That's right.
If you're a runner,
you watch a marathon,
you love it, but you don't line up to watch somebody else run unless you're
literally
related to them.
do. Like people do go to marathons and watch. They get huge crowds. Same with surfing events. And this surfing event in Portugal had, I believe, thousands of people watching. I don't know. They said how many it was in a Ken Burns
Surfing is very
documentary.
popular, and it is a lucrative business for
Niche.
the best of the
If
surfers.
you're watching surfing, you're in it to see someone like crash and fall.
Which they do
probably
because
right.
these waves are so big. Like all the footage in this documentary, like every now and then someone would actually surf the wave and you'd be like, oh, cool. But then someone would crash and you'd see them fall like 50 feet out of the sky, like over the falls. And then they'd go to the hospital and then they'd be like, yeah, karate broke his back. And then like a year later, he's out there surfing again. It's crazy.
Jeremy, would you do me the favor, please? Just rummage through that South Beach session and just get the sound of what it feels like, the description of being underneath a 100-foot wave.
Oh, no.
What
No,
happened,
it's fine.
Greg?
He didn't drop a wine bottle. He dropped his coffee.
Oh, okay.
You all right, Greg?
good.
Greg, what happened?
Something just fell out of my...
Greg, your
Circumstances.
40-year-old boat shoes are near the meat. Can you please move your Can you move your feet away from the meats and the cheeses and your
God.
black toe? Can you move your black toe away from the meats and cheeses and not drop things over there? And again, the Cody's brought to you by Meiomi.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry about these shoes. I did notice just the other day that there's now officially a hole where my left pinky toe is now visible through the shoe.
Get some air in there now, maybe.
Yeah, but they're super comfortable.
Just buy new shoes, Greg.
They're not 40 years old, by the way. They're like 25 years old.
I hate this so much.
Just buy new shoes, Greg.
so
Why?
Well, why be wasteful?
These shoes are unrivaled. Kind of like Meiomi Wines.
And bold.
That's just a smell.
Don't associate the sponsor with those shoes.
Don't do that.
They're
The black
beautiful
toes
shoes.
near the meat. Do not do that to the sponsor with your black toes near the meat. Those shoes are disgusting.
The black toes. That's the group LeBatard saw the other night in concert.
Is that true?
It was the Black Crows.
Billy, is that true?
Chunkular!
And my dad has become such a big Rory fan now. Now that Rory's the hero of the PGA Tour, my dad's asking me for Rory updates. My dad is more into golf now because of all this live stuff.
Oh, I am. I love a rivalry. I love a villain. And golf now is more exciting than it's ever been to see this breakaway tour. I'm really energized by it.
And Billy, by the way, Homa has blown his -2. He's back to even.
Well, we're 17 minutes in, so
Craig.
business as usual.
More exciting than it's ever been.
Well, in terms of the rivalry, I mean, it was
Press
more,
conferences are more interesting.
It
now,
was more
but-
exciting when Tiger was reigning, but I'm loving golf right now. I'm loving the dynamic that this Live Golf Tour has brought to the whole sport.
You're loving it while ripping it.
Yes,
than ever.
correct.
Just
Like
more
I say,
than
it's a villain
the most
tour.
since Tiger.
A 4.
It's a villain
Not more
tour.
interesting than ever.
Ooh, Naismith tied for the lead.
Nobody knows who that is.
I don't either.
He invented basketball.
When I first saw just the last name, I thought it was Michael Naismith, the former monkey back in the grave.
Did you?
Chunkular!
Greg, how do you think you're doing today?
Well, I'm rattled by this visor. I still don't know where on my forehead to wear it. But other than that, I think I'm crushing it.
Now
I really
he's
do.
muttering under his breath, "Where's Jim Nance?" It's like, Dad, this is on NBC. He just thinks like he doesn't watch golf a lot, so he's just like, I think Jim Nance should be part of every tournament.
I feel like broadcasters should be free agents. I really do. I think if you're a golf tournament, no matter the network, and you want Jim Nance as your voice, pull him out of the Butler cabin, bring him over to your tournament, and enjoy it. I mean, why can't Jim Nance be a free agent, able to cover anything he wants?
Why can't other people come and take golf?
Why can't you write for the Sun Sentinel?
I could.
He couldn't.
He might be able to. We don't
Sure
know
I
what's in
could.
his contract if he has one. He is a union member, though. I imagine
I'm
that's
so
something
angry
that's
at my
bargained.
dad right now.
Why's that?
I don't know. He thinks he's crushing it, and it's just we're gonna have a long talk after today.
Okay. Christopher's livid that I was 15 minutes late. Oh boy.
It's actually
15
45 minutes late, but who's counting?
Can we do this? Can we? I asked for the therapy couch to make a return recently, and it has not. Can you guys have like parental therapy right now, where you have this conversation, just you and him, honestly, pretending that we're not here, that we're not listening, just a father and son who Izzy says a comedy duo unlike any performing these days. Just have an honest conversation with your father about his delusion about being great at this when he isn't.
What are your resentments towards Dan that you always want to be late, and you make it seem like it's unintentional? But I feel like you're doing something here. Like when you're late like this and acting like, oh, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
The traffic, I couldn't have seen traffic coming. Like you're doing something. Like,
Leading the
you're-
witness.
You're sending a message.
No, there's no message to be sent. There have been times when I was late purely because I left the house too late and traffic was not to blame. There have been those times. Today was not one of those times. The express lanes were a nightmare like never before, and it cost me 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And that's just one of the facts of life. You drive a car. You know what I mean. You're a motorist. You know, have tolerance. Don't be so angry. Enjoy the verve, or whatever that's called. What is that expression?
Joie de vivre?
The French expression that means
Can he not hear us?
joy for life or whatever it is. I don't know.
Jess just answered your question, Greg. Can you not hear her?
Like 4 minutes ago.
It's a little low. We can kind of hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
The Cody's brought to you by
Meiomi Wines, the unofficial favorite wine of dads everywhere.
Power through the brie there.
Will you do something? You did power through the brie. Will you do something special with your father this weekend other than be terribly annoyed with him because he embarrasses you all the time?
Funny you bring it up because as a new father, my daughter's 4 years old. Father's Day's not mine yet. Father's Day still belongs to my father-in-law and my father. It's like maybe I'm a jerk for expressing this, but I always thought when I become a father, I could do whatever I want on Father's Day. That's not how it works. I have to be at my in-laws at noon. I have to be at my parents at 6 p.m. So basically, it's just a day where I have to do a bunch of shit.
When does it become yours? I think that once you become a father, it should become yours.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, my wife tries to give me the Saturday because she's like, we got to do all this stuff Sunday. So Saturday you could do blah, blah, blah. It's like, but I thought it's my day. It's supposed to be my
got to run
weekend.
the parents up on out of here. You got to
Kill
run
'em,
them out of
yeah.
here. You got to run them. They're selfish.
You've had enough Father's Days. What,
No,
can't this one be mine?
Junior, you got to pay your dues, okay? After 4 years, you're still a rookie. You're a rookie father.
Greg,
you
you've been
gotta
having
pay your
Father's
dues.
Days for 30 years.
You've had over 30
He's selfish.
Father's
He
Days.
wants more. He wants him to the grave.
I have. I'm a veteran father.
But now he gets double Father's Day duty because he's a grandfather, too. So now he gets
exactly.
double.
Thank you for that. Yes, when you're a father and a grandfather, it's like you're wearing a gold helmet.
What?
You're a super
Exactly.
father.
Notre Dame.
Why are you wearing a gold helmet?
I'm a super father.
Uh-huh.
Isn't there Grandparents' Day also?
Jessica,
Yeah, he gets that one,
Thank
too.
you, Izzy.
Jessica, you have been a bit itchy and fidgety here recently since you told me this story about the tick. The tick has made you...
Fuck ticks.
Yeah, the ticks are unpleasant. And did you get a big one? Did you get one?
I didn't
on
get
your...
one at all, actually, Dan. I think actually my friend was in town, Priya. She's probably listening right now. She brought a tick into my apartment when she came and visited me last weekend. And I know you guys don't have ticks in Miami, so you maybe don't even know what they are. Chris
We have
Whittingham had
ticks.
never heard of a tick before, like yesterday.
Okay, it's not heard of a tick, is I'm unfamiliar with seeing ticks. I'm more familiar with seeing mosquitoes in South Florida. That's like our insect of choice. But I don't encounter ticks too often. Have you guys?
Are there
Yeah.
ticks down here?
Yeah, no,
Yes.
there are. It's
There
a
are
Wait,
hor-
ticks down
really?
there, Yes.
It's a
Yes.
horrible game of is mole, freckle, or tick is
Yes.
the worst game.
I've been playing that game
Yeah.
for a week and a half, Billy, because like I don't go out in tall grass. I live the city life. But last weekend, my friend came in town, woke up one morning, the day after she got in town, there was a tick in her leg, and I had to pull it out with tweezers. It was disgusting.
It was
And
bloated from
still
blood.
Alive.
It was
a
bloated-
little engorged.
Yes, from blood.
And I had to put it in like a little Ziploc baggie, and then she had to go on antibiotics and all this whole thing. And ever since, I'm like, are there other ticks in my apartment now? Are they in my bed? Should I wash all my
Did
clothes?
your friend come over covered in ticks?
Exactly. Was there one tick? Was there two tick? Was there three tick? Was there blue tick? I don't know. There were. I have not slept soundly in a week because she brought this tick into my home.
Will she be mortified by the idea that for some reason you felt the need to say her name and
No,
she's
she won't
probably
care. She'll be
listening?
fine. She
She's
can get
fine
over
that
it.
she's
the
okay
one who
as
brought the
being a
tick into my
public
house.
tick-infected person.
I mean, I didn't ask
Dangerous.
for permission, so it's probably a HIPAA thing, but, everything's a HIPAA thing, right?
Well, we're already here on live television. Oh, Greg Cody, for some reason, is just wandering around now as if we're not on air.
Lost.
contribute to the conversation that
You're not on a microphone.
You have a
Greg.
microphone
have
where
a
you were,
microphone where
though.
you
Go
were.
back to where you were and I'll
Go
turn
back
your
to where
mic
you
on.
were. We're doing a show live right now. Why do you...
No, I was just going to contribute to the conversation that Jess's problem would be something good to put on TikTok. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
That's a good point. Whittingham, let's do a bit of housekeeping here because the broadcast streaming wars are changing all the time, and people are doing different alternative forms of entertainment in interesting and new spaces. And I know Izzy, Debatable After Dark is something that you are doing tonight with Pablo Torre and Dominique Foxworth. Is it after the game, after Game 6 of the NBA Finals?
Yeah, it's after Game 6. We started doing that during the conference finals, and kind of a different vibe. The After Dark thing. We're not really allowed to curse any more than we normally are, but I guess we can slide a few in.
Okay, so cursing is the big appeal. There might here Dominique Foxworth, Pablo, and Izzy possibly curse is a selling point. It's after dark. It's naughty.
I'd say that's definitely the one area where Meadowlark Media has you wildly outpaced, because tonight another NBA Live postgame show,
a dirtier one,
the return of Amin El Hassan.
If
we see if he tries to solicit any more guests and perhaps walks himself into yet more trouble. But he is back tonight with Mo Dakhil, Tom Haberstroh, and Zach Harbour to break the game down. We have competing live streams. I'll also let the people know we're not just doing something after the game. We're doing something during the game. I was told by Tony and Juju that during the third quarter of tonight's game, anyone is invited to pop into our StreamYard.
Really?
Just the third quarter. I'm not sure why that was chosen, but that's our tactical video strategy.
Just the third quarter, me and Juju just chopping it up, having fun.
You and Juju.
He's invited everyone.
That mustache. You're going to unleash that mustache during the third quarter on the American people. Internationally, even.
Yes. Right. Wherever there are YouTubes, you can potentially watch this. So that is happening tonight. We got our post game tonight, so lots covered on the YouTube channel.
Our fans are not going to be happy that we are not working Monday. We are off on Monday. The game 7 is possibly on Sunday. Will that crew be doing something for us post-game for Monday off of the deciding Game 7 championship?
I imagine they could probably, do 2 hours on a Game 7. So, yes, we will have that crew. Should there be a Game 7, they will be on. But, yes, we will be observing the Juneteenth national holiday on Monday, so we will not be coming into the studio.
You guys were talking about YouTube a minute ago. Do you think there was a time where people thought that, tubes were the next wave of transportation? Because of the way that
Musk?
There's mail tubes, and then you go to the bank, and then there's the tubes that are sending things. Do you think people ever thought
mnemonic tubes? Yes, Billy.
Yeah, you thought people ever were this is how we're going to kind of advance things is with tubes, and then it just didn't really advance. It kind of got 5 things, and then that was it. It's we can't pass humans through tubes, so this is it.
So Billy, you're imagining a scenario in which on top of I-95 there are mnemonic tubes that fill out the 6 lanes, and you just get inserted into the pneumonic tubes, and you're just basically on a water slide to get to work.
Yeah, I'm just asking if people thought look, guys, I wasn't alive when the whole tube fad caught on. So I'm asking kind of
you're
the people that were
talking principally of the bank tube that takes the jar flying away with what your deposit was. You're talking about old school banking, the tube that sucks your money away or your deposit slips.
And now Billy has us being in that tube and ending up at work.
I don't know.
Yes,
I
taking
don't
it
have
to Orlando.
Does it make the same noise?
Yes.
You guys don't understand. Listen, old people, I'm asking you guys in this room. You were around when the tube craze caught on.
He looked directly at me.
Craze
I'm asking all of you.
That was the turn of the century.
If there was
Greg
a
Cody
thought
was
of
only
advancement,
20 years old.
What tube craze are you talking about?
I do think there was a fast food restaurant or two that had the tube things for serving. That was a bit of a tube craze in the 80s. Look it up. I think he's right.
I think Ken Burns is baseball.
Yeah, Billy is right, by the way.
Ken Burns will give you 18 hours on tubes.
Googling
it's not just
fast food restaurant, deliver food by tube.
Mm-hmm. The thing that we missed on Ken Burns' degree of difficulty on the way that he's doing his documentaries is he also chooses things that don't have any video accompaniment, like words.
Trust me.
I'm gonna do 18 hours on words on Hemingway. That's stuff that you can't find 18 hours of footage. Jeremy, tell me when you have the sound, because I do want people to hear what it's like to get hit by a 100.
That means hurry up, Jeremy.
100-foot wave. No, I just want to make sure not to forget before the end of the show. I don't want to toss it back into that room because I don't know what I'm going to get.
Gano.
Your dad's on fumes. Your dad's got very little left. I have no explanation for why, while we have 2 television studios running, he decided to come stroll across the hallway with no microphone and make his joke shouted from a distance.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have plenty. I'm not nearly on fumes yet. I'm about an eighth of a tank.
The funny
left,
thing is,
so we're good.
The funny thing is my dad legitimately said to me while you guys were talking 5 minutes ago, he's like, "This is going really well." Like my dad thinks that he's crushing it right now.
Well, by the way, speaking of waves, I continue to believe that a wave is not at its most interesting because a human being is surfing on it. A wave is only really, truly interesting when it engulfs a fishing boat, like it did on Jaws. Now, I pray that nobody's hurt by that, but visually, that's when a wave is at its absolute peak of power and interest.
Back to
in
you,
my
Dan.
opinion.
I can't believe, Greg, those shoes that you're wearing, like that you're making arguments. You're making arguments on behalf of shoes. Greg, those were $9 shoes 25 years ago.
They smell terrible.
Those
too.
were never shoes. Those were never any good, those shoes. Not when you bought them new. Those were not good shoes. They are not meant to be worn 25 years without socks, Greg.
These are the Cadillac of deck shoes. These are Sperry's. These are wonderful shoes. As a matter of fact, the resale value on these would be more than $9 right now.
Look it up for me, please.
My
somebody.
dad also now has old people ankles. I can see veins everywhere in his ankles.
Oh, varicose veins.
You're
Nice.
so vain. You probably think this song is about you.
Crushing it.
He's pitching a perfect game, man.
Oh, Lord. I never know when this mic is on. Being in a different room is a little bit discombobulating. I never know if the mic is on.
Start scatting.
Assume it's never on. Then you're at your most natural.
Yeah. That's it. That's the only scat I got.
Play the sound of Garrett McNamara explaining what it's like to be caught under a 100-foot wave.
While riding the wave, there's big chops. It's like moguls, like icy moguls, and with an avalanche chasing you. And so when you're coming down the wave, you're hitting chop after chop, and your feet are in the straps, and they're kind of coming out at times. So it's really hard to stay on the board and stay on the wave. And if it's a nice smooth one, it's like cutting butter with a hot knife. But 9 out of 10 in Nazare are just big icy moguls. And then you kick out. If you make the wave, you kick out, and then you got to hope that your driver's right there. If he's not, then you're going to have to face a bunch of waves in the head.
I understand your confusion, Jeremy, because that is the ice avalanche that the man also surfed, which is a different thing that he did, a less dangerous thing than the thing that I was talking about.
Well, he did say Nazaré, which is the city in Portugal. Yeah. So, but the thing that these
wait, hang on a second. How can an ice avalanche be less dangerous than the other thing? The phrase ice avalanche is the most terrifying combination of words that I've ever heard.
He was scared
Poop
of it.
avalanche.
He was scared. If you watch the...
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Scarier avalanche, ice or poop?
Lava's worse than all of them.
Back to you, Dano.
I saw a 6-part documentary on Netflix the other day about a room that got engulfed with lava. People had to escape. Crazy.
The floor is lava.
It was just one podcast episode.
I play that with
turned
my
into a
daughter.
6-part
Billy, are you
documentary.
serious?
No, he was doing that
Billy.
just to be an asshole. Like, it was pure asshole.
We were talking about different parts of podcasts.
Are you talking about the floor is lava?
He was hoping, he's hiding more and more behind his mask, and so he's doing things like that. Yes, that's right.
I'm just trying to move the conversation along,
The
man.
most impossible person to read in the room, and it's not just because of the mask. I just never know where he's going. Like, I feel like I read people especially well. I have no idea what Billy is like away from the studio. None.
I thought you guys were going boating up the coast.
we are.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll find out then, I
Yeah.
guess. The time he came over for brunch, he was this Billy. He was just
Evil
on.
That was fun. Izzy's a great cook. Izzy had like 18 courses that day, though.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to say no to certain things, but I was full after like 2 courses.
Pancakes were fire.
Thank you.
What was that syrup you used? It was like a vanilla
That's
something?
a good question. I was wondering that, too.
I wish I was there.
It was a very unhealthy 50-50 mix of condensed milk and heavy cream.
Oh, my God.
Sounds divine.
More like heaven.
I wish I was there for that.
Roy,
You got invited, Roy. The
why is
entire
it
room
that
was invited.
You only get engaged on free food. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. It for how long have we known each other? 17 years? Like, only when the conversation turns to does somebody have a spare waffle, there's Roy.
A spare waffle.
No, but it's unbelievable. I don't understand. They were talking about breakfast, and you just started longing dreamily about food that you were not paying for.
A way to a man's heart is through his stomach, Dan.
Can I ask a question, Roy? Since we're been getting on Tony and the crew, the video crew for videos that never happened. I seem to remember this is not you guys. This is before Tony.
Oh, the jump rope video.
Yes.
Whatever happened to the
video
Roy
of
jump
Roy
roping?
jumping rope?
Roy
It got
jump
posted.
roping is epic.
It did.
Yeah, it did. It got posted.
No, that never got posted.
I don't think so. I think that would have been classic.
Were you good at jumping rope?
He literally didn't know what to do.
No clue.
No.
Like he handed him the jump rope and he held it as if it was a fork.
Definitely didn't jump both feet at the same time. Was trying to do one foot and then the other. Like wasn't actually jumping. Like it was very confusing how confused he was by a jump rope.
I want to address something here that I was alarmed by. I don't know if the rest of you were alarmed by this, but Stugotz has had a very bad week. He didn't show up for work. It was a series and an assortment of excuses. Actively made everyone's job harder this week. Came on the air for 10 minutes of total failure where none of his equipment worked. And then took the single worst photograph I've ever seen from a member of this show. He is so clearly fried on psychedelics, mushrooms, and whatever assortment, whatever bounty of drugs has short-circuited his face that he's got saliva in a dry mouth and his eyes are slits that he cannot keep open because he is on the cusp of overdose.
It looks like an Instagram filter. It looks like his face has like all of the muscles in it have stopped working.
So
and
it's
so
funny.
it's just like it's collapsed into a blob of clay. That's what his face looks like. And somehow this is worse than the last Dead & Company picture that we saw from him last year. The Dead & Company tour, it's unbelievable what it takes out of him. And the idea that he wanted to go to one of these shows where he leaves looking like that on a Monday night.
He didn't want to. His wife surprised him.
And come on the Zoom on a Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. Pacific to join us and do the show with us is absolutely astounding.
Billy, what's happening with, as you try to wrangle Stugotz this week on Stupidity, have you been able to wrangle him? What is the truth?
Yeah, we did a Stupidity episode.
What
and we're
is the
supposed to
truth
record
here?
today, yeah.
Well, my favorite. It's funny. My favorite version of Stugotz was, and this is a lot of versions of him, was Pandemic Stugotz. It's because like he was genuine in his care, right? Like that's the first time I ever felt like he was telling the truth when he cared about like humanity,
Oh,
right?
he's full of shit.
No, oh come on. It felt right. It felt
He's
genuine.
going to Dead concerts like every 2 weeks and
A
then
little
judging
later.
everybody.
Okay, there's a little window there where it felt like it was it was genuine. Okay, but this version, the one where he's just gone like no rules, hands free, vacation all the time, Dead & Company that's making this life more difficult for you guys. Whew, that might be my least favorite of Stugotz, especially when he's stuck on the Zoom and he's terrible with time.
Whittingham almost stormed out of the studio in protest yesterday. Whittingham alleges it's as angry as you've ever been with him, or 2 days ago, or whenever it was, yesterday. Yeah, the days have run together because he really left everybody in a giant lurch this week by just not telling anybody he was disappearing into a descent through madness and drugs and the dead.
It already makes my blood boil that we are 2+ years into using Zoom, and there are still issues where you can't just select the right fucking microphone to be your audio source, okay? We are 2 years and 3 months into using Zoom. That is not hard to understand how computers work, that when you plug the microphone in, you have to select it as the source of your audio. To then, after deciding on Sunday afternoon to let me know that you're going to California, and then 2 days later, not get your audio source right, when it is the source of the tension that you can't get good sounding audio.
This is a presidential speech?
In a Zoom. And to then, after all of that, after making my life impossibly hard the last 3 days, have the balls to say, you problem. I mean,
that's a you
he's
problem.
He's changed you, Chris, has he not? He's
that's
changed
a
you
problem. It was just like, how can you say that with
Mike,
a straight face?
Mike Ryan is like, he's all yours now.
I stand with Stugotz.
You're sitting.
If I were standing, it would be next to Stugotz. He's
Why-
right about Zoom. It's difficult to get exactly right. It's confounding.
It's input source.
No.
Yeti microphone.
No.
Click it. The end.
No, they're not engineers, man. They're the talent. They come
Learn!
on there. They
Thank
talk.
you.
No, they don't
Everyone
need to.
has
you
to
need
be
a technician.
like,
learn.
At your elbow nowadays.
You go to the
get everything
butcher, you
right.
say, learn how to butch? No.
Greg, I'm asking you, as part of your profession, to learn 1% of audio
You know
engineering.
how you learned how to send an email? Click send. That's what we're asking you to do.
It's honestly
It's more difficult
less
than that,
complicated.
believe me.
It's less complicated than sending an email.
No, it's multifaceted. I need an IT person at my elbow walking through life nowadays. Everything's difficult. That's why, thank God, I'm married to a saint of a woman who handles all our finances and
Ain't that the
mail
truth?
and all the technical aspect of my life because it's very difficult.
Because you're a toddler.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
What the
You know
hell is
what?
that?
I do empathize with older people who now have to navigate like technology and
Thank you.
using like
Thank you,
everything's
Jess.
gone cashless now, and going to the airport there's a lot of things you have to do on your phone if you want to go through security
gacky,
efficiently. And I do empathize because I think there is a big learning curve there for people that didn't grow up with computers and phones.
Thank
However,
you.
this is literally Stugotz's job to just know one thing if he's going to go out of town. If he doesn't go out of town, there's no problem. But all he has to do is know how to turn on his microphone. And honestly, the fact that Witty's still this upset after we sweated out in 100-degree weather last night playing soccer tells me that this is going to be a lingering problem. For a long time.
It's startling to me. It is startling to me that toward the tail end of whatever it is that our careers are here, that he would protect neither the vehicle that brings you his voice nor the voice filled with heaters that deteriorates by the weekend because he's consuming the dead. It's just a level of self-destruction of your one thing that you need to protect that has some value. Greg, are we interrupting you?
Harassing me.
Here, take some grapes.
For those of you not watching, Chris keeps slapping his father in the face with a bunch of grapes.
Eat the grapes.
They do remind me of Jackass, the dad in Jackass. Like when Greg
Bam
gets,
Margera.
Bam spotted.
when Greg gets legitimately mad at him and starts hitting him, yes, like this right here. When he
I have a bunch of infants on the couch.
They're tickle fighting.
No, he is a toddler. Look, he's winded.
He's winded. He's done.
You think Meiomi's questioning their decision?
The unofficial favorite wine of dads everywhere.
It was a bold
Greg's
decision.
like a winemaker here.